Ladies and gentlemen, we have a 2008 BMW 335i base that has been tastefully modified, and it is anything but stock now. I've actually driven this car on track as well. You can check out that video linked in the description. And this car is a riot. The owner, Bryce, a good friend of mine, big thanks to him for letting me review his car. He's done a lot of work on it, all himself actually. He is quite the mechanic, if you will. The car's sitting on some Apex Arc 8 wheels wrapped in Michelin PS4s in the front and then Falken F10s, FK510s in the rear. It's 255 square setup, and he told me it was just a cost-saving measure essentially. But that makes the rear end have less traction, which makes things interesting, let's just say. The car's sitting a little bit lower on KW coilovers. We also have upgraded engine components. We have pure 600 turbos, two of them. This is the N54 engine with the Wagner race intercooler, silicone inlets and outlets for the turbos. It is catless, a single mass flywheel, which you will hear while I drive it. And most importantly, a JB4 Piggyback tune with an MHD back-end flash. This car is making 400 horsepower to the wheels, and I like the sound of that. So with that out of the way, let's see how she drives. Getting to the interior, this is obviously a prior gen BMW, or a few gens rather, but still kind of classic and timeless. I love these gauges. Just good memories, good associations. All these interesting noises you can hear from the engine are no accident. Suboptimal conditions today, so we're not going to be going too crazy. Plus this car has 400 wheel horsepower. Favorable power to weight ratio. Car weighing in a little bit over 3,700 pounds. Yes, boys. Holy shit. Lag, 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 boom! That's part of the theater of this car, and Bryce loves that. It's part of the fun. He's not going for that razor edge, super immediate throttle response. You can still downshift rev match in this car without issue. But when you're getting on the power, the lag is immense. You can write a novel between the time you press the throttle in and you get that rush of power. You gotta love all the sounds this thing makes too. We have that very rubbery BMW shift knob feel that BMW is notorious for. Pretty long throws. A lot of, I mean, look at that. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. You gotta remember, this is a 335i. This is not the M3, not the tautest of cars. And the steering too is pretty, I mean, it's pretty devoid of feedback. Steering is very light. Not really any feedback at all. It's sad too, because BMW used to have such amazing steering racks back in the day when they were hydraulic. It's a shame too, because even though this is a hydraulic, BMW has just, they lost their ways. Not nearly as fun to drive when your steering is so numb. Not ideal pedal placement for heel toe, and this chassis is not very rigid. I mean, when I say that, I mean two things: the suspension and the body as well. It's a large practical vehicle. I mean, Bryce has his child seat in the back. Getting a little squirrely with the 400 horsepower. Damp roads. But even the suspension, you get a decent amount of body roll and lean in the corners. But going over the bumps, it gets a little bit crashy. So suspension needs to be dialed in. These are KW coilovers, and they are adjustable. I'll play around with these settings a little bit more. The seats as well, they don't really support you, and when I was driving this car on track, I was sliding all around. It was hard for me to even shift it properly because I was using my left foot on the dead pedal to just, you know, push as hard as I could to keep me planted because there's not much lateral support at all. But again, I mean, maybe not a fair critique because this is the base 335 that's just been modified to be a little bit of a hot rod. And for that reason, you have a bit of multiple personalities. On one hand, it feels like it's a pretty pedestrian, civilized, regular old BMW 3 Series. And then on the other hand, it's like a lurking monster where when you get on the throttle, it starts making these interesting noises, the whooshes, the spoolie boys, and then it just slams you back into your seat. This generation of BMW, well, I guess a lot of BMWs, not just this generation, the clutch feel I don't think is, God, that Volvo driver, not good, not good. The clutch feel is, clutch travel is very long, and the clutch feel isn't nearly as communicative as some of the other German vehicles like Porsches. Yeah, this car's a riot and its entertainment value is high, but it's not a car that you want to be pushing close to the edge because it's going to bite you. It doesn't have an LSD, it's open diff, so you're not going to be able to control your rotation with throttle input as readily. But that surge of power is not predictable. So you can't toe the edge with it, you can't dance with it, you can't play with it in the same way that you can do a dedicated sports car. This is a practical daily driver vehicle that Bryce has tuned into a bit of a multiple personality monster. Jesus. Easy to double clutch, easy to rev match. But this transmission, it's not the tightest, the notchiest, the most positive on gear engagement, so it's not really, it doesn't egg me on to use it. Like if I was in a Honda S2000 NSX, I'd just be shifting it nonstop between 4th and 3rd right now, just for the sake of using the transmission. And while this is not terrible, it's not the most rewarding to use. It's an interesting car, an interesting base to start from. And again, these cars are going for around $6,000 to $12,000 right now on the used market. And for that price, I mean, you're getting BMW reliability. Don't forget that. When we were at the track, the alternator started failing on Bryce, but he was able to drive it back home. Ultimately, you're not getting a dedicated sports car. You're getting something that's 4 doors, practical, and interesting to drive. It's gonna entertain you. It'll take you to Giggle City if you modify it in the same way that Bryce has here, which is quite a riot if I do say so myself. But let me know, what do you guys think of the BMW 335i? Much love, my friends. Thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in that next one. Get out of here, scram.